Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you?
No.
No.
I'm Angenette Levy, and welcome to my channel. I'd really love it if you would subscribe and please hit that thumbs up, hit the like button. I'm going to talk to you about Bryan Kohberger's newly released traffic stop and why it matters, okay? There's a reason why this traffic stop matters and why we're now just seeing it. We've seen all of his other traffic stops, but we've never seen this one, and there's a reason why. The prosecution was planning to use this traffic stop at trial to show Bryan Kohberger in his white Hyundai Elantra in Moscow, Idaho, and the fact that his phone number was his phone number. His cell phone records were going to be a pivotal piece of evidence, a critical piece of evidence to the prosecution in this case. Now they don't have to worry about that, though, because Bryan Kohberger is now serving 4 consecutive life sentences for the murders of Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. He is at Idaho's maximum security institution, and he's been moved into a new cell block. So he is settling in to his new home. But why does this traffic stop matter? There are a few reasons why this matters. It really set a timeline for the prosecution. This traffic stop happened on August 21st of 2022, and that date is incredibly important. This was around 11:30 at night, a little after 11:30 at night, and it happened less than 2 miles away from the house on King Road. And it happened to be the night before classes started for the fall semester at the University of Idaho. Now, we knew that Bryan Kohberger was a night owl, of course, but why is he over in Moscow this late at night? Yes, his defense team said he's somebody who likes to drive around at night, but he's all the way over in Moscow. Yes, it's about a 15-minute drive away, but still, he's over driving around in Moscow. It's almost midnight. And the prosecution was going to present a cell phone expert who said that between July and November, they're going to have this FBI analyst testify that between July and November of 2022, Bryan Kohberger's cell phone was in Moscow on 23 occasions between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., and that he was within a football field of that house on King Road. So he was in that general neighborhood, in the general vicinity. We, of course, didn't get to hear that testimony, but there are those are the significant things about this traffic stop. He's in his white Hyundai Elantra, controlling that vehicle, and he's in that general vicinity, offering up the cell phone that places him there. And it's right before classes start at the University of Idaho. He's trolling. He is circling the area kind of like a predator, like a vulture. So let's take a look at this traffic stop, and then you're going to hear why the defense didn't want the jury to see it if the trial had happened.
649. Hey there. I stopped you going a little fast. You didn't realize this is 35?
Oh, it's 35?
It is, yeah. So you're going.
About 41?
Yeah, 43 is what the radar said.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Do you have your license, the registration, insurance? Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you?
No.
No. That's no good.
Right. Just being honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You guys are. There's absolutely no point in not being honest.
Yeah.
You have a radar.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a vehicle registration slip or something like that? Okay.
Or did I give you my insurance?
Yeah, this is your insurance. That's good. Thing is, I'm on a overtime shift right now. One of the conditions is we have to enforce seatbelt laws, and so to write you a citation for that, it's $10 in Idaho. Not a huge deal, but yeah. Be right back.
So there you see Bryan Kohberger talking to Deputy Darren Duke of the Latah County Sheriff's Office. He's pulled over for speeding, of course, and he's not wearing a seatbelt. So Deputy Duke's like, hey, you're speeding, but now you're not wearing a seatbelt. And you heard how Kohberger, fessed up to that and said, yeah, I'm not wearing my seatbelt. But then Deputy Duke goes and runs his plate and it comes back clean. So here's the rest of the exchange where Kohberger starts asking some questions.
AM 329 to Pennsylvania, valid 2024 and clear.
All right, sir. Here's your license back. It's here. Just an infraction citation. The only thing they're alleging failure to wear your seatbelt on the traffic stop. They said the fine at that's $10. You do have the right to a hearing on this if you'd like one. If you'd like hearing, you need to request it before September 8th at 8:30. Otherwise, they'll automatically be entered against you. You'll lose the right to the hearing. You just wanted to pay it. The mailing address there, website right there.
Yeah, I just have a question about that. So in terms of when you get a speeding ticket that's obviously reported to your insurance, is that the same thing with the seatbelt?
I don't think so. I think it's only moving violations that go to insurance, or things that might put points on your license.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Long is what I was thinking.
Okay. Could I get a phone number from you?
Yeah, why?
We need to put it on the citation as it goes to the court.
And just for future reference, I mean, I'm obviously an honest person, right? I told you I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. When people lie to you about that, say I lied to you about that, right? Just for my own knowledge. Do you honestly go back and look at that, or do you just
With a seatbelt like this, I didn't check as I was coming up, so that's why I asked you.
Do you usually?
I should. I noticed you weren't wearing it, and I'm on this emphasis, and like I said, I'm getting paid by ICD, and they want us to enforce the seatbelt law, so I was being more aware of that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, have a good night.
So it's a little weird there. Bryan Kohberger's like, I'm an honest person, but if I had lied to you, like, what would you have done? That kind of thing. So it's kind of an interesting little exchange. The defense hated this. Hated this. They did not want the jury to see this at trial, but the prosecution had asked Judge Hippler to let the jury see it. And so listen to what Alyssa Massa had told the judge about why he shouldn't allow it.
It's our position that the traffic stop video brings in other acts that the state is trying to end run on. And I want to give you examples. In this video, things that make it more prejudicial than probative are that it provides presence in Moscow. It is at night. It is a visual of the car that is not just the make and model. It is Mr. Kohberger's statement that he doesn't think seatbelts provide much in the way of safety. Mr. Kohberger's question about why they need his phone number. Mr. Kohberger's question about how the officer reacts when people lie to him about wearing a seatbelt. If the court allows this evidence in, the state has the ability to use this to make many other points beyond identity. And the jury would have the ability to potentially seek to ask to rewatch the video and draw other conclusions that we are worried about, such as I mentioned, him being at night, not wanting to, it being at night, him not wanting to give his phone number, which could be construed as he wants to hide his identity.
Date of this traffic stop.
Pardon?
Remind me of the date of the traffic stop.
It is on August 21st. So it's
What year?
of 2022. So it's remote. It's
Before the murders.
yeah.
So Bill Thompson, the lead prosecutor in this case, he said there's no reason why the jury shouldn't see this. What's the big deal? Take a listen.
Evidence. Just because it's prejudicial and just because the defendant doesn't like the fact that we can prove who he is, that we can prove what car he's driving, that we can prove what his phone number is, that we can prove his address. I mean, those are all things that tie together to connect the defendant to the homicides. Just because they don't like that isn't a basis to object to it.
So the prosecution won that battle. Judge Hippler said he would allow the jury to see this video. Defense lost that one, but there were going to have to be some redactions to it. Now, there were many more trips to Moscow in the general vicinity. The prosecution contends in the area of the house on King Road. Ann Taylor always said and maintained he was never stationary by the house, and that's what the data showed. So she contends he was never staking out and stalking the house. I don't know if I believe that should be true. Maybe he was just circling the area, but the wonky layout of that house leads me to believe that he probably would have had to have entered that neighborhood and at least been a little bit familiar with where he was going in that house. I mean, think about it. How would he have known to just go into the slider unless he comes in there and just peeks around? I think he would have had to have known where he was going. Chief Anthony Dollinger of the Moscow Police Department, I actually interviewed him, and he said they don't know who the target was in this case. They don't know which bedroom he went into first, whether it was Kaylee's on the third floor or Maddie's, but obviously he ended up in Maddie's bedroom. So they don't know which room he went to first. However, they do know that he, at some point, whether it was on the stairs or possibly in the living room, they can't tell which one it was, encountered Xana. And then she likely fled into her bedroom. And that's where this huge fight for Xana's life took place. Xana Kernodle fought, just fought very hard to try to save her life, and sadly could not. Now, after the murders, we know that Bryan Kohberger, he flees the scene after walking past Dylan. He sees Dylan and is likely thinking to himself, I've got to get the hell out of here. And he takes off. He almost loses control of his car as he's turning off of King Road. We're going to see that video at some point in time when we get that released to us through records requests. And he zooms out of there and he takes this weird long route back to Pullman, Washington. Very strange way to go back there. And apparently was accessing the Broadcastify scanner app at some point in time during this morning and the Saturday evening hours as well. That's a really interesting fact, too. He's probably wondering, did she call 911? Are the cops coming? So he's probably trying to access that after he turns his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. That's when his phone came back on that morning. So that's a very interesting fact there. But what's really interesting is the fact that Bryan Kohberger later that morning, 9:30 a.m. or so, he takes that selfie in his bathroom, in the dress clothes, the thumbs up selfie. We still need some more context about what that meant. It shows him obviously with fuller eyebrows than he has right now, but he's in dress clothes. A lot of people have speculated that he may have injuries to his hands, but the police talked to somebody who said he definitely noticed injuries on Kohberger. Now, look at that selfie again. I don't see injuries on Kohberger's face, but there was a teaching assistant at Washington State University who talked to the police. And this person detailed some things about Bryan Kohberger that are pretty interesting. And I think you're going to find it really interesting too. So this person, I'm going to call him L, because that's how he's kind of noted in this report. These reports, everybody's name is redacted to protect their privacy. Now, this report is pretty interesting. Brett Payne talks about meeting with L on October 10th, 2023. That's many, many, many months after the homicides. But they had first interviewed, an FBI agent had first interviewed L back in December of 2022. So shortly after the homicides. And this says that Brett Payne was accompanied by FBI agent Hilla for this interview, as well as an FBI interpreter who was present via phone call because L is apparently from another country. And so this is a summary of their interview. And he says, I began by asking L to tell me how he met Bryan Kohberger. And L stated they were both TAs for the criminology program at WSU, and they shared an office in Wilson Short Hall. And he considered Kohberger a friend and stated he thought that Kohberger was very intelligent, but he also thought he was really selfish. So that's pretty interesting. L said that Kohberger would often mislead him when it came to their shared work and would have L complete work meant for Kohberger. Elle said that Kohberger came up to his dorm room on one occasion around the time of the homicides. Elle was unsure on the exact date after Elle asked him for a ride to class. Elle also added that Kohberger began to talk much more than usual after the homicides. That's pretty interesting, too. It makes you wonder, was he feeling some type of release or relief? I don't know. Elle characterized Kohberger's conversations as those coming from somebody who wanted to vent. Elle stated that Kohberger attempted to use his authority as a TA to inappropriately interact with female students. Elle stated he thought Kohberger wanted a girlfriend and added they talked about Kohberger wanting a girlfriend on many occasions. So that's interesting too. Bryan Kohberger is somebody who wanted a girlfriend, but it seems like he wasn't able to get one. And he had trouble interacting with other people, especially women. So that kind of gets you wondering, what was going on here? Why go into a house filled with women and do this? He had also told, the police that he had become inspired at DeSales University. Inspired by what? Inspired by criminology, the study of serial killers, inspired to become that? I mean, we don't know. We need more information. So Bryan Kohberger wanted a girlfriend and had talked to Elle about this very often, about wanting a girlfriend. Elle said Kohberger told him he might lose his TA position over an issue with Dr. Snyder. Kohberger asked Elle to help fight the allegations, but Elle stated he refused to help Kohberger. Elle characterized Kohberger as a dishonest person. So Elle feels that Kohberger was a liar. To support this, Elle stated he spoke to Kohberger in late December of 2022, and Kohberger said he was packing his bags to catch a flight. Listen to that, a flight back to Pennsylvania. Elle later learned that Kohberger had been back in Pennsylvania for some time and drove back with his father. So that's really interesting because Bryan Kohberger, his father, apparently this was a last-minute trip to go out there. Jason Labar, the public defender for Bryan Kohberger, who represented him for his extradition hearing, he told me back right after the arrest that had been planned for some time. What Elle said does not reflect that. So that's different. So Bryan Kohberger tells Elle he's flying home for the holidays. So was that a last-minute trip? Driving cross country with the white Hyundai Elantra to get it out of the area after that bolo went out on December 7th. Remember, Bryan Kohberger is driving cross country with his dad somewhere in the area of December 13th, 14th, 15th, somewhere in there. And they took a different route than normal. They went through Colorado. So pretty interesting stuff there. Elle then told us about some injuries that he witnessed on Kohberger's face and hands. Elle was unsure of the date, but stated he thought he noticed the injuries on two separate occasions. One was a large scratch on Kohberger's face, which he described as looking like it could have come from fingernails. Elle said he also saw wounds to Kohberger's knuckles on two separate occasions. And when Elle asked Kohberger about this, Kohberger replied that he had been in a car accident. Well, in what car? Because the white Hyundai Elantra didn't look like it had been in any car wrecks, especially not one that would cause you to have cuts on your knuckles. It looked intact. So Elle stated that Kohberger was frequently 20 minutes late to their classes. I asked Elle what he and Kohberger would talk about, and Elle said Kohberger liked to discuss his area of study, which was criminal decision-making and burglary-type crimes. Pretty chilling stuff, given what we know now. Criminal decision-making, what goes on up here, and burglary-type crimes. What did he do? He was accused of breaking in to a house full of young women, and now he's pleaded guilty to it. He's admitted to it. His area of study is criminal decision-making and burglary-type crimes. It's chilling. So Bryan Kohberger is now behind bars in Idaho at the maximum security institution for the rest of his life. And I think we're going to learn a lot more about what people observed or heard him say or what he said to people. But it's clear that Bryan Kohberger is somebody who tells a lot of lies. he lies, according to the people who know him. And we've seen some of those lies as we've gone through these documents. I really appreciate you watching. Please tell me what you think of this video and give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that like button. I'm Angenette Levy, and I'll see you back here another time.